Chapter 553. As an experienced master level C of Soul's Realm warrior, Yuan Jin's explosiveness was extremely horrifying. While he was flying, a purple gold light appeared on his body. It was like a dragon or a snake, almost materialized. It carried Yuan Jin's body and shot out, arriving not far away from Yi Chen within a blink of an eye. "You brat!" Yuan Jin lifted up his palm and attacked toward Yi Chen. Although it was just a normal low-rank profound sense martial art, it was extremely powerful when it landed on Yuan Jin's hand. As he pushed out his palm power, a massive purple gold light palm expanded rapidly, covering the space where Yi Chen and Yi Chen were. One finger shattering void. Yi Chen's pupil shrank. Yuan Jin's palm attack was not weaker than the Iron Palm Master, who had appeared on the Treasure River Island. The title of the Iron Palm Master contained the word palm, so naturally, his palm art was the most powerful one. But Yuan Jin's palm art was not weaker than his, which meant that his overall power might be even more powerful than the Iron Palm Master. Without thinking too much, Yi Chen endured the mountain-shattering palm pressure and stabbed out with his right index finger. Boom! The purple gold light palm and the blue finger clashed together. The two seemed to be mortal enemies as they clashed against each other crazily, bringing up layers after layers of blasting waves. The blasting waves were all different in color. It was purple gold for a second, then blue, then purple and blue. It blew Yuan Yi, who was already wounded badly, a couple of miles away. He puked out a mouthful of blood and fainted right after Yuan Hao. Because Yuan Jin was too angry, he had forgotten about Yuan Yi, which made him even more wounded. At the same time, he hated Yi Chen to the core. His palm power suddenly increased by 30%. The purple gold light palm pushed forward aggressively, shattering the blue finger. Sword light flying spell. Yi Chen was already prepared for it. He took back the Zhen Yuan outside of his body, and waves of sword light shone. With a flash, he flew out 10 miles within a second. Because the power of the purple gold light palm had been cancelled out by the blue finger, its speed had been drastically reduced. It did not manage to catch up with Yi Chen, but did manage to destroy a lot of buildings in the Yuan family. "Little brat, do you really think you are a master level C of Soul's Realm warrior?" Yuan Jin's eyes were cold as he locked onto Yi Chen, who was 10 miles away from him. He flicked his fingers, shooting out beams of purple gold light. These purple gold light beams contained the profound of gold, and their penetrative power was unparalleled. Countless purple gold light beams interweaved with each other, causing space ripples to spread out like a giant net. Anyone who fell into the net would be greatly affected, like a flying insect caught in a net. Seeing the huge net that was formed by the purple gold light, Yi Chen maintained his flying back, while using his Lotus Heart Sword Qi to defend against it. All of a sudden, one side was the purple gold net, while the other side was the blue one. The two huge nets clashed together. Pitter-patter. Countless beautiful fireworks bloomed, and the sky seemed to be ignited. Seeing this, Yuan Jin's face darkened. Although he was an experienced master level C of Soul's Realm warrior, it would still be impossible for him to kill Yi Chen with only one attack. Yi Chen's power was not that important, but that kind of control he had over the battle had shocked even him, not to mention that they were still 10 miles away from each other. I would like to see how you are going to dodge this time." Yuan Jin was ready to use his mid-rank profound sense martial arts. Different from Yuan Yi, Yuan Jin's mid-rank profound sense martial arts had already reached 80% completion, and was not that far away from completion. With his late C of Soul's Realm cultivation, its power could only be described as horrifying. Taking a deep breath, Yuan Jin's face was covered in purple gold qi. Purple gold represented nobility, but when it appeared on Yuan Jin's face, it added an evil aura. He put his tongue on top of his mouth, and the Zhen Yuan inside his body started to circulate at twice the normal speed. Eventually, it all poured into his right arm, following the meridians of his right arm, and reaching the center of his fist. As waves of Zhen Yuan poured in and compressed, Yuan Jin's fist turned into a purple gold color, looking like it was made of pure purple gold, full of horrifying power. Flowing gold godly fist. Yelling, Yuan Jin threw out a punch toward Yi Chun, who was 10 miles away. Boom! The air was blown up all of a sudden, and the space pattern spread out. That purple gold fist power turned into a tornado, shooting out at an extreme speed. Along the way, the fist power started to scatter, turning into countless golden blades that looked like crescent moon. The golden blades were arranged in an orderly manner, forming into a dozens of meters wide hemisphere. Yi Chun frowned. He could tell that each of those golden blades had the power of a low-rank profound sense martial art. With this many of them shooting at him, even a master level C of Soul's Realm warrior would have to dodge out of the way. Yi Chun was barely a master level C of Soul's Realm warrior, so he naturally would not be able to handle it. Yuan Jin, you are indeed shameless. A human figure suddenly appeared right in front of Yi Chun. It was indeed Morong Jishui. The Yuan family warrior, who tried to stop him, was only a normal master level C of Soul's Realm warrior. Under Morong Jishui's full power attack, he was blown away within 3 attacks. Besides master level C of Soul's Realm warriors, who else could stop him? Boom! 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 The golden blades were blocked out by a swirl barrier. Waiting until the last golden blade bounced out, the swirl barrier suddenly disappeared, and Morong Jishui's face looked a bit pale. Time was running out, so Morong Jishui could only perform a low-rank defensive profound sense martial art. Facing Yuan Jin's mid-rank profound sense martial art, he was still at a disadvantage. But of course, his opponent was still worried about Morong Jishui, so he did not dare to kill him. Otherwise, even Morong Jishui would not be able to handle it. Morong Jishui. Yuan Jin did not look friendly at all. Morong Jishui was still not scared. Yuan Jin, what you have done today will bring a lot of harm to the Yuan family. I hope you know it yourself. This brat had stopped the wedding so many times and wounded 2 of my sons. Why can't I teach him a lesson? But you, how dare you fight against our Yuan family? The demi-demon family does not belong to your Yuan family. Your Yuan family does not have the right to do anything to our Morong family. No matter what you say, it will be useless. This time, I will lock you up in the Yuan family. If you dare to go against me, I will kill you without mercy. Yuan Jin did not dare to kill Yi Chun, but it did not mean that he would not dare to kill Morong Jishui. Killing Morong Jishui would be an internal matter of the demi-demon family, and the Dragon God Celestial Palace would not be able to interfere. Yi Chun flew right next to Morong Jishui, looking straight at Yuan Jin as he said coldly, Yuan Jin, you were the one who agreed for me to battle with your sons. Am I right? So what? You suddenly attacked me? What is the meaning of this? Do you really think that I am easy to bully? Or should I say, I will not hold you responsible for this? Battling with each other. I did not say anything about wounding the opponent. Don't you think what you have done is cruel? Yuan Jin's words were flawless, like an old fox who was furious but still calm. Yi Chun sneered. Sorry, I admit that this was a battle but not a battle. Since it is a battle, injuries are inevitable. I think it is your Yuan family who cannot afford to lose. Brat Yi, although you are a martial genius favored by the Dragon King, as long as you do not become a life and death realm warrior, you better not be too arrogant. Yuan Jin stared at Yi Chun with an evil look, his eyes containing a powerful mental pressure. Yi Chun ignored the threat. Arrogant? It seems like only your Yuan family is worthy of this title. You 3, father and son. Have you never felt that what you have done is arrogant? Presumptuous. Right now, what Yuan Jin hated the most was the fact that the Dragon King favored Yi Chun the most, which led to his hatred toward the Dragon God Celestial Palace. Without the Dragon King and the Dragon God Celestial Palace, killing Yi Chun would be like killing a dog to him. There would be no need for him to spend so much effort to stop them. Martial geniuses die easily. You better be careful. After saying that with a low voice, Yuan Jin flew down toward the plaza. Yi Chun and Morong Jishui exchanged a look before landing down as well. Seeing that Yi Chun had returned, Wang Shi and Yan Kuei both stopped what they were doing. Around them, there were a couple of people who were staring at the two angrily, all of whom were slightly wounded. Brother Yi, are you all right? Wang Shi asked. Yi Chun shook his head. Thank you, brother and sister, for your help. Hee, we are brother disciples after all. Wang Shi laughed. Right next to him, Yan Kuei spat on the ground. Pooh! This old dog Yuan is so shameless. His son could not beat you, so he decided to do it himself. Yi Chen looked at Morong Qingqing with a serious look, then said to Yuan Jin. Yuan Jin, do you still remember the promise we made before? Right now, let go of Morong Qingqing's secret spell. Huh. Of course I remember. With so many people here, no matter how shameless Yuan Jin was, he would not go back on his word. Otherwise, within a couple of days, his shameless behavior would be spread all over the Gulan region, and even the other regions. Glancing at Yuan Yi, who was still unconscious, Yuan Jin walked behind Morong Qingqing. He pressed his palm in the air, and countless gold light balls shot into her body. Making a slight noise, Morong Qingqing regained her consciousness. Lifting up the red silk cloth, Morong Qingqing saw Morong Jishui and Yi Chen. A joyful expression flashed through her face. Father Yi Chen, Morong Jishui said hurriedly. Qingqing, they did not do anything to you, did they? Morong Qingqing shook her head. Oh right, where is your mother? Morong Qingqing frowned and said, before my Zhen Yuan and consciousness were sealed, my mother was invited by a woman from the Yuan family. A woman? Morong Jishui seemed to have thought of something. Moving her eyes away from her father, Morong Qingqing looked at Yi Chen. Although her movement and speech had been sealed, she could still hear and feel everything that Yi Chen had done. So when Yuan Jin attacked Yi Chen, she was very worried, but luckily nothing happened. Yi Chen smiled at Morong Qingqing. Just when he was about to say something, a woman's voice was heard very crisp. Jishui. From the corner of a building not too far away, two extremely beautiful women walked over together. The one on the left was wearing a dark green long dress, looking very elegant. She was about 38 or 39 years old, and the one on the right was wearing a light yellow dress. Her appearance was no less beautiful than the former, but it was indeed her who had spoken. Seeing the latter, Morong Jishui froze. Yin Shiner. He would never forget this woman. This woman used to be the woman he loved the most, and he would occasionally see her in his dreams. Her appearance had changed a little, and her voice had become a lot smoother as well, but he could still recognize her at first glance. Taking a deep breath, Morong Jishui felt very complicated. In front of him, a cold sneer appeared on Yuan Jin's face. Chapter 554. So this is the first girlfriend that Uncle Morong had mentioned. Yi Chen's eyes landed on the two girls. It was easy for him to tell who Morong Qingqing's mother was, since they were mother and daughter after all. Both their looks and temperament were quite similar, which was something that could not be hidden. After knowing who Morong Qingqing's mother was, the identity of the other girl would be obvious as well. Su Ruhui saw Morong Jishui's expression and made a face. But she did not say anything. She stood together with Morong Qingqing and started to talk in a low voice. It has been so many years. How have you been? For the past 30 years, Morong Jishui had been wanting to say this. Today he finally had the chance to say it. However, he did not know why he did not want to say it the first time he saw the girl. Saying it out loud was just a subconscious action. The girl named Yin Shiner stayed silent for a while before nodding slightly. A bitter smile appeared on Morong Jishui's face. All right, as long as I am doing well. I have no regrets anymore. After separating from you, I was in so much pain until Ruhui appeared in front of me. Hearing Morong Jishui mention her name, Su Ruhui was a bit happy. She pretended that she did not hear anything, and continued to talk with Morong Qingqing. Hearing him, Yin Shiner felt a bit uneasy for a second. It was this 1 second of uneasiness that had caught Yi Chen's attention. He could see the dissatisfaction, jealousy and anger in her eyes, which did not match her beautiful appearance at all. Glancing at Morong Jishui, Yi Chen thought to himself, Uncle, I am afraid that your first girlfriend has changed. Sister-in-law, this is your future niece-in-law. Her name is Morong Qingqing. Right then, Yuan Jin suddenly spoke. The reason why he called Yin Shiner his sister-in-law was because she had married his second brother, Yuan Xiong. Yuan Xiong was not in the Yuan family right now, as he had gone out for some business. He would only be back in 2 to 3 months. Originally, That would be the day of Yuan Ye's wedding, but it had been brought forward by 3 months. Yan Xiner moved her eyes away from Morong Jishui and landed on Morong Qingcheng, who was standing next to Su Ruhui. A surprised expression flashed through her face, since it was the first time she had seen Morong Qingcheng. She had to admit that this girl's appearance and temperament were extremely rare. There should be people who were as beautiful as her, but she had never seen or heard of anyone who was more beautiful than her. Xianhou might be able to surpass her, but Xianhou was still a life and death realm warrior after all. This was Shui and his daughter. Yan Xiner squeezed her lips, then laughed and said, "Brother, Yi is quite lucky to have such a beautiful fiancée. Together with him, they would be a perfect match. As his second aunt, I am happy for him as well." "All right, why don't we continue with the wedding?" Yuan Jing glanced at Morong Jishui. Someone did not agree, so I could not do anything about it. Yi and Hao were wounded as well, and they are still unconscious. Who dares to wound Yi and Hao? Yan Xiner flicked her eyebrows. Indeed, it is me. Yi Chen did not need to wait for her to say it out, so he just admitted it himself. Yan Xiner glanced at Yi Chen. Do you know that the members of the demi-demon family will not marry outsiders? So it is impossible for you and her to be together. If you just let it go, it would be good for both sides. Why do you have to break up a couple? Whether they are a couple or not, you should be clear about it. If they are a couple, then no one would be able to break them up. If they are not a couple, then there is no need to break them up, since they were separated in the first place. I was only doing what I was supposed to do. The one who should let it go should be the Yuan family. Yan Xiner said lightly. No one is meant to be together. There has to be a process of getting to know each other. Both of them have the perfect demi-demon bloodline, so they will be attracted to each other in the future. But that is if you do not come and ruin it. Yi Chen could not help but laugh. This woman was a bit unreasonable. Based on what you have said, a man and a woman would be a couple. On the other hand, breaking up a couple and putting one of them together with another person with a different surname would also make them a couple. So, what you have said is basically nothing. You are quite eloquent. But you seem to have forgotten that they had already set the wedding date 2 years ago. And you are an outsider. Yi Chen glanced at Morong Jishui. This wedding date was forced by the Yuan family. You should know about it. So I will not explain it to you. Yan Xiner sucked in a deep breath. She had underestimated Yi Chen a bit. This young man was not as simple as he looked. His tone was very calm, but it was sharp like a sword chi. Looking over at Morong Jishui, Yan Xiner frowned. Are you still angry about what happened back then? Actually, it is all in the past now. No matter what, it will not go back. If you do not want your daughter to marry into the Yuan family, because of this, then you do not have to. Morong Jishui looked a bit surprised, as if he could not believe that these words were coming out of Yan Xiner's mouth. Somehow he seemed to have understood something, so he said, I would not joke about my daughter's happiness. If my daughter and the Yuan family people were in love, then I would not say anything and agree right away. But if it was forced, then I, as her father, would definitely not just stand there and watch it. You really think so? Yan Xiner did not seem to believe him. Morong Jishui said with a clear look, Of course. About what happened back then, do you still hate me? Of course I do. But that kind of feeling has faded away a long time ago. Just like you said, it is all in the past now. No matter what, it will not go back. Plus, Ruhui and I are living a good life. Losing her would be the most painful thing for me. Therefore, what happened back then has nothing to do with this. Su Ruhui did not open her mouth the whole time. When the man was talking, the woman would just stand there and watch. Even if the love rival was right in front of her, she would still have to endure it. Hearing Morong Jishui's last sentence, her face lit up. The knot in her heart seemed to have disappeared all of a sudden, and her whole body felt relaxed. All these years, she had always known that there was someone else in Morong Jishui's heart. She had been troubled and frustrated before. This time, she had gone to the Yuan family with her daughter just to see that woman. When she saw her, she secretly compared herself to her, and thought that she would not be weaker than her. Right now, after hearing Morong Jishui's words, she also realized that there was indeed someone else in Morong Jishui's heart. But just like her, it was a knot in his heart. Actually, there was no longer any feelings, only memories. Now that they had seen each other, and both of them had changed, the memories had disappeared naturally, and the knot in his heart had disappeared as well. She knew clearly that from now on, she would be the only one in Morong Jishue's heart. Without any reason, Su Ruhue was glad that the two of them had met. If they had not met, she did not know how much longer she would have been troubled. Yen Xiner's expression suddenly looked a bit bad for no reason at all. No one knew why she was upset, or why she would be upset after hearing one sentence from Morong Jishue. Back in the day, she and Morong Jishue were indeed in love with each other, and it was very sweet until Yuan Xiong fell in love with her. To be honest, she did not dislike Yuan Xiong at all. Therefore, she had been moved once, when she was being pressured by the Yuan family. Other than the reluctance to let go of Morong Jishue, there was nothing else. After marrying into the Yuan family, her status had risen drastically. She had been living a pampered life, and after a long time, her mentality had changed. Occasionally, she would hear that Morong Jishue's cultivation had improved drastically after they had parted ways. He was just a slightly talented martial genius, but now, he had grown into a famous martial genius. She was secretly happy about it. The man she used to be, and the man she was with right now, were both very talented. It was her happiness to be fought over by the two of them. This time, she thought that she would be able to see Morong Jishue's unwilling expression, as well as his love for her. But she was disappointed. Besides the excitement of meeting him for the first time, the rest of his expression was very calm. Hearing that he had already forgotten about what had happened in the past, she could not help but feel angry. This kind of anger was like having her toy taken away by someone else. Her eyes turned cold as she said, "Could you please give me some face and not stop this marriage? Actually, it is a good thing for your daughter to marry into the Yuan family. Only by joining the Yuan family will she be able to get more resources and achieve more." "Why do you want my daughter to marry into the Yuan family? Is it because they are the main family of the demi-demon race?" Morong Jishue asked back. Yen Xiner froze a bit. "Is it not good to marry into the Yuan family? You have changed." Morong Jishue looked at Yen Xiner deeply. "I do not recognize you anymore." Taking a deep breath, he said with determination, "I will not agree to this marriage. My daughter's happiness will be decided by herself. No one can interfere, including myself." "You are so stubborn." Yen Xiner was a bit annoyed. "Yes, I am stubborn. But as long as my family is happy, what is wrong with being stubborn? I have already begged you like this. Are you really not going to give me any face at all? Just for the sake of what happened in the past?" The perfect demi-demon bloodline was very important to the Yuan family. Otherwise, she would not have begged Morong Jishue like this. Morong Jishue's heartlessness had made her hate him. "Impossible," Morong Jishue said with certainty. "You." Yen Xiner bit on her teeth as she pointed at Yi Chun and said with a cold voice, "Morong Jishue, do not forget that the members of the demi-demon family are only allowed to marry within the family. Are you trying to break the rule of the demi-demon family by bringing him here? I do not know about their future. I only know that my daughter does not want to marry into the Yuan family, and no one can force her to do so." "Ah," Yuan Jin sneered. "How do you know that your daughter does not want to marry into the Yuan family? Perhaps you are the mastermind behind this. Just ask right now." Morong Jishue looked a bit gloomy. After he finished talking, he turned his head to look at Morong Qingcheng. "Qingcheng, are you willing to marry into the Yuan family, to Yuan Jin's son, Yuan Yi? If not, just say it. They will not do anything to you." Morong Qingcheng was about to say no when Yuan Jin sent a message to her. "Little girl, to be honest, I have high hopes for you. Your talent is no weaker than Ye's. If you train it well, you will be able to become a life and death realm warrior in the future. Therefore, marrying into our Yuan family would be the best choice for you. Don't say no yet. Your mother has already been poisoned by the shadowless poison, which you should know about. This kind of poison is invisible and untraceable, and there is no way to find out about it. Naturally, there is no way to cure it. Even life and death realm warriors might not be able to cure it. There is only one antidote. If you say no, I will destroy it right on the spot, and your mother will die because of you. Think about it carefully. Do not disappoint me and your mother." Hearing him, Morong Qingqing's expression changed drastically. She was shocked and angry. She looked at her mother, then looked at Yi Chen. She seemed to be struggling. At the same time, Yi Chen's expression changed as well. His silver pupils were cold and emotionless. Chapter 555. Yuan Jin, is this how your Yuan family does things? You are indeed unscrupulous. But today, I will not let you get what you want. The Zhen Yuan communication was not something that could be read just by looking at the mouth. Yi Chen had a super powerful soul power, so after analyzing it, he was able to understand what Yuan Jin had said to Morong Qingqing. He was shocked and angered at the same time. He could not believe that this Yuan Jin would do something like this. Poisoning a member of the demi-demon family. Was he not afraid of causing an internal conflict within the demi-demon family? Damn it! Do you know what I am talking about? Yuan Jin looked at Morong Qingqing with hatred. He thought that it was Morong Qingqing who had told Yi Chen about it. Morong Qingqing was shocked. Her mind was in a mess, and she could not think of telling anyone. Plus, it was about her mother's life after all. Morong Jishui could tell that something was not right, so he asked Yi Chen. Yi Chen, what happened? Su Ruhui looked over as well. Yi Chen thought about it, and decided to tell the truth. Since it was poison, there must be a way to cure it. He could just ask the Dragon King for help. With his top king level power, this shadowless poison should not be a problem for him. With a dark look on his face, he said, Auntie was poisoned by the Yuan family to threaten Morong Qingqing. Hearing him, Morong Jishui was so angry that he almost puked out blood. He threw out a palm attack toward Yuan Jin. Old man, you dare to poison Ruhui? Today it will be either you or me. Boom. Chi flow exploded as Yuan Jin blocked out Morong Jishui's attack. How dare you? Take him down. How dare you? Seeing Morong Jishui attacking their headmaster, all of the powerful warriors of the Yuan family had flames burning in their eyes. They felt that it was not something that could be tolerated, so they wanted to make a move. Stop! Su Ruhui yelled out. Waiting until both of them had calmed down a bit, Su Ruhui said with a cold face, Yuan Jin, I am also a member of the demi-demon family. You poisoning me, do you think it is too much? Also, do not forget that I am a member of the Su family. Although we are not as powerful as your Yuan family, we will not let anyone bully us. Yuan Jin hated Yi Chen to the bone. This poisoning thing could not be brought out in the open. It was exactly because he thought that Morong Qingqing would not tell the truth, that he had used it as a threat. Taking a deep breath, Yuan Jin said slowly, I did not want to do this, but you are forcing me. If you agree to this marriage, I will hand over the antidote right away. As for the Su family, it seems like you have already been kicked out of your family. I believe they would not go against our Yuan family, just because of you. You're despicable. No matter how well-mannered Su Ruhui was, she was still infuriated. Those who want to achieve great things don't bother with trifles. Moreover, their union is the most perfect thing for the demi-demon clan. You guys are so stubborn that you are the scourge of the demi-demon clan. Yuan Jin's voice was cold. Third brother, let's fight with them. Morong Wu and the 10 powerful warriors from the Morong family had just woken up from their stupor, standing behind the few of them quietly. Morong Jishui suppressed the anger that was burning like a volcano inside him as he said with a low voice, Yuan Jin, hand over the antidote, and there will still be a chance for us to turn this around. Otherwise, I will not stop until you die. Either you die or I die. Yuan Jin did not answer Morong Jishui. He turned his head to look at Morong Qingqing. Little girl, your mother's life is in your hands. I will ask you one more time. Do you agree or not? If you do not agree, then this only antidote will be gone forever. As he spoke, he took out a white medicine bottle. His palm was shining with a purple gold light. As long as he pushed out his Zhen Yuan, this bottle would be destroyed into nothingness. Su Ruhui said angrily, Qingqing, do not agree. Even if you agree, I will not be happy for the rest of my life. Plus, according to what I know, the shadowless poison is not incurable. It's just that the ingredients are hard to find. Sacrificing her daughter's happiness for her own life was something that she could not do. Morong Jishui had a complicated look on his face. He thought about it, but did not say anything. Father, mother. Morong Qingqing wanted to say something but stopped. She seemed to be struggling. Morong Jishui sighed. Listen to your mother. Do not agree. I do not believe that there is no antidote for this shadowless poison. Then, he yelled at Yuan Jin. There are so many people here looking at you. Do you think you still have the face? You are the scourge of the demi-demon family. Damn it. Yuan Jin's face twisted a little. Indeed, what he had done would make him a laughingstock for everyone in the Gulan region. But, since he had already made it this far, there was no turning back. As long as he handed over the antidote, his reputation would be restored. What a joke. He might as well go all the way and see who would be the one laughing in the end. The rumors would eventually disappear. Little girl, do you agree or not? Crack. The white medicine bottle in Yuan Jin's hand started to crack, seeming like it would shatter at any second. Do not agree. Su Ruhui stared at Yuan Jin angrily. Tightening the gold sword in his hand, Yi Chen's expression was getting colder and colder. He could not say anything to make Morong Qingqing say no, since it was related to his mother's life. Of course, no matter how it would end up, Yuan Jin and his son had already been listed as his targets. Sorry, I will not say yes. Morong Qingqing bit on her pearly white teeth as she said this. Good. 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 Yuan Jin said the word good 3 times in a row, and then the white bottle in his hand shattered with a bang, completely turning into nothingness. Yuan Jin. Morong Jishui's eyes were bloodshot. Jishui. Su Ruhui grabbed onto Morong Jishui. In the Yuan family, you will not be able to win against them. Anyway, this shadowless poison is not without an antidote. We can think of something when we get back. It would be better than losing our lives here, or being locked up. Who? Morong Jishui took a couple of deep breaths. His wife was right. It would not be wise to fight with them here. And it would also give the Yuan family an excuse to attack them. Therefore, no matter how angry he was, he would have to hold it in. He would take it out later. Let's go. Morong Jishui stared at Yuan Jin and said to his people. Go. Where do you think you are going? Morong Jishui, you have offended our Yuan family time and time again. Right now, as the head master of our Yuan family, I am going to capture you. Little brat Yi, this is our demi-demon family's business. If you dare to make a move, I will not go easy on you. Come. Surround them. The Yuan family had lost a lot of face. Yuan Jin did not even say anything before asking them to leave. It was like a double loss for them. How dare you? Su Ruhui and Morong Jishui yelled at the same time. Why not? Everyone listen up. Capture Morong Jishui for me. If anyone else dares to move, kill them. With Yuan Jin's order, the powerful warriors of the Yuan family appeared from all directions, surrounding Morong Jishui and his people. Qin. Taking out his gold sword, Yi Qin said, Sorry, but today, you are so stubborn. I will have to fight with your Yuan family. Wang Shi and Yin Kuei stood up. Junior brother Yi will accompany you. Yuan Jin, you've shown off enough today. Let's see how you explain to our Dragon God Celestial Palace in the future. I'll report everything that happened today in full detail. You have gone too far. Do it. Yuan Jin's 3 corpses were infuriated. He waved his palm. Boom, boom, boom. The whole plaza was in chaos. Dozens of Yuan family warriors attacked the dozens of people on Yi Chen's side. As for the other guests, they had already backed out of the area, watching this scene with interest. Yuan Jin, and a master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior, had joined hands to attack Morong Jishui. Judging on power, Yuan Jin was not weaker than Morong Jishui, and was actually slightly more powerful. Together with the other master-level Sea of Souls realm warrior, they would be able to take down Morong Jishui easily. As for the rest of the people, they would not be an opponent for the Yuan family at all. Meanwhile, Yen Shiner was facing Su Ruhui, and they did not see eye to eye with each other. Right then, the Yuan family and the Morong family had turned against each other. So naturally, they were treating each other as enemies. Dang! After blowing away a powerful warrior from the Yuan family with one sword attack, Yi Chen realized that it was not going to be good. If this continued, all the warriors from the Morong family would be killed sooner or later. No choice. I guess I will have to use my Thunder Disaster Sword then. Unless it was absolutely necessary, Yi Chen would not reveal his semi-extreme rank great sword in front of everyone. Right then, he could not care about that anymore. Putting the gold sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen took out his Thunder Disaster Sword and poured his Zhen Yuan into it. The sword body turned into a beam of lightning, stretching and shrinking. Shoo! With one sword attack, a Yuan family warrior's arm fell off as he backed out while screaming, "Kill!" With the Thunder Disaster Sword in his hand, Yi Chen's battling power increased drastically. He killed his way in and out of the Yuan family warriors, and not a single one of them could stop him. Soon, there were already 4 warriors who had been wounded badly by his sword. It is a semi-extreme rank great sword. Outside of the stage, someone could tell the rank of the sword. It is indeed a semi-extreme rank great sword. This power is so horrifying. Falling into his hands is indeed a waste. I am a master level C of Soul's Realm warrior. If I have a semi-extreme rank great sword in my hand, who would be my opponent below the king warriors? I would be able to go anywhere in the world. A lot of people started to get greedy. Although they did not dare to kill Yi Chen, they would still dare to steal the sword secretly, since it was too important for them. Gold Resonant Radiance Sword. Facing the area with the most warriors of the Yuan family, Yi Chen threw out a sword attack, performing his most powerful sword movement, the Gold Resonant Radiance Sword. That thick sword light was like a scythe that was harvesting lives. A row of Yuan family warriors fell down, and no one knew if they were still alive or dead. Those who were closer had also been wounded by the sword light, puking out blood continuously. "Fight your way out." Cutting out a gap, Yi Chen yelled to everyone. "Bastard! Where did that brat get that semi-extreme rank great sword?" In the air, Yuan Jin had sensed the weird situation down there, so he could not help but look down. What he saw made him furious. Dozens of Sea of Souls realm warriors from the Yuan family had been knocked out, and some of the remaining ones were wounded as well. Their battling power had been greatly reduced. On the other side, only 3 to 5 warriors from the Morong family had been wounded, and none of them had been knocked out. Morong Jishui had also seen the scene down there, and he let out a breath of relief. Normally, only Sea of Souls realm warriors would be able to join in the battle. Therefore, no matter how many warriors there were in the Yuan family, most of them would not be able to make a difference. Once one reached the life and death realm, one warrior's power would be able to fight against a super martial school or family. Chapter 556. Morong Jishui, don't even think about it anymore. Today, you will not be able to get out of the Yuan family alive. Yuan Jin kept his composure. He knew that as long as he waited for a while, the other Sea of Souls realm warriors of the Yuan family would arrive, and his main goal was to take down Morong Jishui. Morong Jishui sneered. "With the two of you teaming up, I indeed would not be able to win. But if you want to take me down, it would be impossible." He and Yuan Jin were more or less the same. Adding on a normal Sea of Souls realm master level warrior, they might be able to make him suffer a bit. But, if he wanted to leave, they would not be able to stop him either. Huh? Do you really think so? Yuan Jin's speed was like lightning as he continued to attack, while the master level Sea of Souls realm warrior, who was teaming up with him, helped out on the side. Down below, the plaza of the Yuan family was full of holes, and most of the buildings around had been destroyed as well. From time to time, there would be warriors of the Yuan family flying over from a certain direction and joining the battle. Therefore, the number of warriors attacking the Yuan family was always around 30. This brat is powerful. Let the 5 of us work together to hold him off. With the Thunder Disaster Sword in his hand, Yi Chen was extremely powerful. Wherever he went, there would be blood rain and thunder light. Whenever the sword light flashed once, there would be people falling down with their hands covering their wounds. No one could stop him. Seeing that the warriors of the Yuan family would be heavily injured, the 5 top spirit warriors went up to fight against Yi Chen. They were the masters of the Yuan family, and their ranks were not low. Speed Sword Hell. If it were the gold sword performing the speed sword hell, each sword shadow's power would only be equivalent to a normal Soul Realm warrior's full power attack. But it was performed by the Thunder Disaster sword, which increased the power to that of a spirit warrior's full power attack. Countless sword shadows spread out, looking like a blue ocean of light attacking out. And Yi Chun was the source of that blue light ocean, the starting point of the attack. How could he perform this many sword shadows at the same time? Each of them is equivalent to a normal spirit warrior's full power attack. He might be able to block out 10 of them, but he might not be able to block out 20 or even 30. The 5 of them came with an aggressive aura, but they were leaving in a bad shape. Even the Yuan family warriors around them had been wounded by the sharp sword shadows. Brat, you dare! Another peak expert of Yuan clan rushed over from afar. This person was the third-ranked elder of Yuan clan, named Yuan Lai. His weapon was a huge blade. The blade's body was as red as fire, and as soon as he slashed out, a fiery blade energy swept out in all directions. Kill! Yi Chun unsheathed the gold sword with his left hand and performed a cross slash with the Thunder Disaster sword. The two sword lights, one straight and one reverse, seemed like a pair of executioner's hands as they went against the flaming blade energy. Not only did they split the blade energy apart, they even carried a lot of it to attack Yuan Lai. Damn it, when did this brat become a guru? No, that sword. Yuan Lai had seen Yi Chun's portrait before, so he could recognize him at a glance. In his impression, Yi Chun was still far from the master level, so it was impossible for him to be his opponent. At this moment, seeing the opponent's counterattack was so sharp that even part of his flame blade energy was swept back. He was shocked. After the initial shock, he immediately realized that it was the Thunder Disaster sword that was causing trouble, and not Yi Chun's own strength. Bang! Yuan Lai was, after all, a Sea of Soul master, so it was impossible for him to be defeated in one strike. Holding the blade with both hands, he raised it horizontally like a reef on the shore, enduring the waves all year round, unmoving and steady like Mount Tai. The moment the sword light and flame blade energy arrived, they were deflected without the slightest injury. The semi-supreme grade sword is a waste in your hands. I'll take care of it for you. Let go. With a shake of his body, Yuan Lai's aura changed from that of a reef to that of a volcano. His body contained an extremely frightening flame power. Holding the blade with both hands, he slashed 18 times toward Yi Chun. Each slash was extremely powerful, and the scorching blade wind melted the potholed ground into crystals. Sword light flight art. A sword light flickered outside Yi Chun's body, and he instantly arrived in the sky. The gold sword had long since returned to its scabbard. The Thunder Disaster sword in his hand was like a wriggling lightning as it slashed toward Yuan Lai below. The sword light sliced through the space, creating ripples like water. What a fast speed! Yuan Lai had just returned to Yuan clan, so he didn't know that Yi Chun still had this ace up his sleeve. His blade energy missed, but his figure flickered as well. With a speed as explosive as fire, he dodged Yi Chun's strongest sword strike. And the movement technique contains the profound of fire. Yi Chun's brows creased. Among the major attributes, thunder and wind held the advantage in terms of speed. However, this was only under normal circumstances. Powerful experts could dig out other attributes that could aid in speed. For example, fire was the fastest when it burst out. Of course, it couldn't last as long as thunder and wind, so it could only burst out for a short period of time. Kid Yi, I'm the third elder of Yuan clan. Do you think you can defeat me? Yuan Lai appeared behind Yi Chun. He stretched out his left hand, and a scarlet whirlpool shot out. The whirlpool contained a powerful suction force, pulling the air like blades as it tried to pull Yi Chun over. Yi Chun knew that although Yuan Lai wasn't as powerful as Yuan Jin, he was still a powerful Sea of Soul master level expert. Ordinary master level experts couldn't compare to him. Wanting to defeat him in a short period of time was indeed impossible. However, at this moment there was no way out. Even if he couldn't fight, he had to. Gold resonant radiance. The intense battle intent caused Yi Chun's aura to become as sharp as a sword. At this critical moment, he had comprehended the gold resonant radiance to greater completion. 90% completion and greater completion seemed to only be 10% difference. But the effect was completely different. 90% completion meant that there were still flaws, while greater completion meant complete perfection. Be it sword aura or sword energy, they couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. Chop! The Thunder Disaster sword was dyed with a layer of gold, as Yi Chen's sword slashed across the sky. Puff! The Scarlet Whirlpool was split into two, and the dazzling golden Sawtooth sword light carried an unstoppable sword aura as it shot toward Yuan Lai. What? Breakthrough in battle? Yuan Lai was stunned. It was rumored that there were some geniuses who were good at fighting. The more they fought, the stronger they would become. They would often be able to break through their bottlenecks under extreme pressure and advance a step further. Against such geniuses, a slight advantage wasn't considered an advantage, because the opponent could instantly turn this advantage into nothing. The opponent's advantage would only make him stronger. It would be his stepping stone. Bastard! You dare to use me as a stepping stone? Yuan Lai was enraged. He slashed out with a fiery aura and a fiery blade aura. His entire body seemed like a flaming blade, imposing and tyrannical. Rumble! The sword light and blade energy collided, and the ground within several li surged like waves in the sea. Soon after, beams of sword light and blade energy soared into the sky, turning the area into a blade and sword hell. Be it Yuan clan's experts or Morong clan's experts, they all stopped. They discovered that this sword light and blade energy had a killing power that could pierce through their protective Jin Yuan. As for the area several li away, it seemed to be separated by an invisible chi wall. As soon as the surging ground reached there, it was pushed back. It was the Yuan clan's demonic human king, protecting the clan's buildings from being damaged. Only the plaza and the surrounding area were left as the battleground. Of course, although the demonic human king of Yuan clan could instantly kill anyone here, it was precisely because he was a demonic human king that he could not make a move. He could not even enter the battlefield. Yi Chen was a genius favored by the Dragon King. If they made a move, the Dragon King might personally pay a visit to the Yuan clan in the future. It was fine if the Yuan clan bullied him with numbers, but even a demonic human king was making a move. It was clear that the Yuan clan did not put him in their eyes. Junior brother Yi is too ferocious. Almost all of the Morong clan's experts were injured, but Wang Shi and Yin Kuei were unscathed. After all, they were Dragon God Celestial Palace's people, and the Yuan clan's experts wouldn't dare to do anything to them. At most, they could only hold them back and prevent them from supporting others. Su Ruhui nodded. He is indeed a dragon among men, a sword Dao genius. After saying these words, her brows creased. In the sky, Morong Jishui was being pushed back again and again, under the joint attack of two Sea of Soul Realm Masters. It was already not easy for him to hold on until now. Morong Jishui, surrender. Otherwise you'll be buried here today. Yuan Jin's fist shot out countless golden blades, slicing through the void. In your dreams, Morong Jishui resisted with all his might, pushing his strength to the limit. Rumble! On one side, Yi Chen was facing Yuan Lai, while on the other side, Yuan Jin and the Yuan clan's elders were facing Morong Jishui. The two battlefields were crisscrossing, and the space rippled like water. The others temporarily stopped and raised their heads to watch. All of you stop. Right at this moment, a loud roar came from outside the Yuan clan. This roar was majestic and powerful, as if the voice had condensed into steel, and was forcibly transmitted into everyone's ears. Those with slightly lower cultivation base paled and felt dizzy, while those with higher cultivation base revealed astonished expressions. Palace leader! Yao Yifeng suddenly raised his head and looked outside the Yuan clan's gate. Palace leader has arrived. Wang Shi and Yin Kuei were overjoyed. Although they were a bit surprised that the palace leader had arrived so quickly, it was still a good thing. Swish! 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 3 silhouettes dashed over and appeared on the square. The person in the lead was a burly man in his 50s. He wore a yellow robe that was embroidered with an angry dragon that was baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. Still not stopping, the yellow-robed middle-aged man waved his wide sleeves, slapping 2 palms toward the 2 battlefields in the sky. Ong. The ferocious palm energy brought with it a loud vibrating sound. Yi Chun and Yuan Lai only felt a powerful pressure, and they couldn't help but retreat. On the other side, Yuan Jin and Morong Jishui also stopped. Under this ferocious palm energy, they didn't feel any better. So powerful, Yi Chun's pupils shrank. The yellow-robed middle-aged man was clearly a Sea of Soul master. But be it Yuan Jin or Yuan Lai, neither of them was half as strong as him. A mere palm attack from a distance was enough to separate them, and the aftershock of the palm energy caused his blood and qi to boil. Seeing the yellow-robed middle-aged man, Yuan Jin's complexion changed. He descended from the sky and cupped his fists. So it's palace leader Zhang. This one is Yuan clan's great elder Yuan Jin. What's going on? The yellow-robed middle-aged man was precisely Dragon God Celestial Palace's Yellow Dragon Palace's palace leader Zhang Zhenguang. After receiving the message from Wang Shi and Yin Kuei, he had rushed through the night and arrived at Yuan clan. Before entering seclusion, palace leader had instructed him to nurture Yi Chun as the future palace leader. Of course, it might not necessarily be Yellow Dragon Palace leader. Chapter 557. The leader of the Morong family, Morong Jishui, has offended my Yuan family. In order to protect the dignity of my family, I am trying to capture him. Yuan Jin was quite apprehensive of Zhang Zhenguang. Although the latter was not a famous Sea of Souls realm master-level warrior, he was still a top master-level warrior. The gap between them was not 1,000, but at least 800. Even two of them would not be his opponent. Most importantly, the latter was the leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace. Since he could not get along with Yi Chun, it could be said that Yi Chun was not a member of the Dragon God Celestial Palace. However, Zhang Zhenguang was clearly a member of the Dragon God Celestial Palace. Moreover, he was one of the upper echelons, the leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace. Zhang Zhenguang turned his head and looked at Yi Chun. Then what's the matter with Yi Chun exchanging blows with him? Don't your people know that Yi Chun is a genius favored by Palace Master? Or perhaps, you don't put my Palace Master in your eyes at all. That's why you're acting so unbridled and acting as you please. Zhang Zhenguang was obviously biased toward Yi Chun, going straight to the point. Leader. Yao Yifeng was anxious. If Zhang Zhenguang was biased toward Yi Chun, then he would not have a good ending. It was the opposite of his original plan. In fact, Zhang Zhenguang's arrival was out of his expectation, catching him off guard. You shut up. Zhang Zhenguang glared at Yao Yifeng. He had already learned the whole story from Wang Shi and Yin Kuei. Yao Yifeng's actions had made him very angry. Yi Chun was a martial genius valued by the palace master, but Yao Yifeng had treated him like this. It was simply too lawless, thinking too highly of himself. Yao Yifeng swallowed back the words he was about to say. He then vaguely glanced at Yi Chun, a trace of killing intent appearing in the depths of his pupils. Yuan Jin saw Zhang Zhenguang's attitude toward Yao Yifeng, and his brows creased even more. Yi Chun's relationship with the Morong family is not shallow. Therefore, he tried to stop our Yuan family from capturing Morong Jishui. Yuan Lai went up to stall him, not to make things difficult for him. Yin Kuei sneered. Elder Yuan, your ability to lie through your teeth is indeed impressive. I won't mention the matter of Mo Luo sneak attacking junior brother Yi, since you wouldn't admit it even if I told you. Afterward, I heard your clansman asking junior brother Yi to kneel down and apologize. And if he didn't, he wouldn't be allowed to leave. Then, your son and junior brother Yi had a fair competition. And because your son was injured, you attacked out of anger, saying that you would teach junior brother Yi a lesson for our Dragon God Celestial Palace. Oh, there is such a thing. Zhang Zhenguang narrowed his eyes. Yuan Jin was quite angered by Yin Kuei, but he braced himself and said, Today is, after all, my son's wedding day. Yi Chun and the Morong family's people came to cause trouble. Our Yuan family couldn't just sit back and do nothing. Therefore, some hot-blooded actions were unavoidable. Glancing at the two towers of Yuan family, Zhang Zhenguang said, All right, I don't care what happened during this period. I'm taking Yi Chun away now. Do you have any objections? Of course not. Even if Yuan Jin hated Yi Chun to the bone, he wouldn't dare to say anything. He was very clear that if he went against Zhang Jingguang, his family would very likely abandon him. The family could support him in the dark, but they wouldn't allow him to do so openly. Yi Chen cupped his fists and said, "Greetings, Hall Leader Zhang." Zhang Jingguang faintly smiled and nodded. "Not bad. Although you're relying on a half-step extreme-grade sword, you can contend against a master-level expert of the Yuan family, and even gain a slight advantage. This kind of strength is even above Li Shaoling." "Thank you for your praise, Hall Leader Zhang." Yi Chen continued. "The Morong family is Yi Chen's friend. As friends, we should advance and retreat together." His meaning was that if he left, the Morong family's people would also have to leave. Hearing these words, Zhang Jingguang turned his head toward Yuan Jin and said, "In that case, I'll take the Morong family's people as well. Otherwise, I won't be able to take Yi Chen." "This is not appropriate, right?" Yuan Jin's complexion turned gloomy. "What? You don't want to?" Zhang Jingguang's complexion also turned gloomy. "Morong Jishui has offended my Yuan family. If we let him leave like this, what dignity does my Yuan family have? Others can leave but not him. I heard that you forced his daughter first. So what if he's hot-blooded? I'll be taking him away. You don't need to see me off." Zhang Jingguang's figure was tall and sturdy, and his words were even more domineering. Yuan Jin tightened his fists and said in a low voice, "Hall Leader Zhang, this is my demonic clan's matter. I ask you not to interfere." "So what if I interfere?" Yuan Jin's eyes turned sharp. "Hall Leader Zhang, respect is mutual. I ask you not to force me." Zhang Jingguang looked straight at Yuan Jin and suddenly burst into laughter. "Force you? What qualifications do you have for me to force you? If I force you, what are you going to do? Send out experts to kill me? It's not that I'm looking down on you or your Yuan family. I alone am enough to contend against all the experts of your Yuan family. If you don't believe me, you can try." It was unrealistic for one person to contend against all the Sea of Soul realm experts of Yuan family. However, Zhang Jingguang still had confidence in the few experts present. Yuan Jin's complexion turned extremely unsightly. Blue veins popped out on his forehead. Humiliation, absolute humiliation. Yuan Jin had never suffered such humiliation before. "What do you think? I don't mind warming up a bit." Zhang Jingguang's expression was very relaxed. "Gina, let them go." Just as Yuan Jin was feeling extremely humiliated, a voice entered his ears. It was a demonic human king of Yuan family. "Old ancestor has spoken." Yuan Jin was startled, but he immediately clenched his teeth and said, "As Hall Leader Zhang wishes." Hall Leader Zhang. Seeing that Zhang Jingguang was about to leave with Morong family's people, Morong Jishui was naturally happy. However, there was something that worried him even more. "What is it?" Zhang Jingguang looked at Morong Jishui. Yi Chen spoke in place of Morong Jishui. "Hall Leader Zhang, Yuan family has poisoned Uncle Morong's wife. Uncle Morong wants to ask if Yuan family has the antidote." "Poisoned?" Zhang Jingguang was somewhat astonished. He truly didn't expect Yuan family to do something like poisoning. Moreover, it was brought out in the open. This was truly a great loss of face. "Hall Leader Zhang, there is only one antidote, and it has already been destroyed by me. There is no second antidote," Yuan Jin coldly said. "You really destroyed it?" Morong Jishui had some hope in his heart. He hoped that Yuan Jin's destruction was fake. Of course it's destroyed." Yuan Jin was a bit pleased. Shadowless poison was one of the rare poisons under the heavens, and the ingredients to concoct it were extremely hard to find. Otherwise, Yuan family wouldn't only have one antidote. It should be known that this thing was even rarer than the 3 calamity bewitching powder. "Since there is no antidote, let's go." Zhang Jingguang didn't want to know whether Yuan Jin had the antidote or not, because it made no difference. If the other party didn't want to hand it over, he wouldn't be able to do anything unless he was a life and death king. Only a king's request would the other party not dare to resist, unless they wanted to be exterminated. "Jishui, let's go. Let's go back and think of something." Su Ruhui, on the other hand, was quite open-minded as she consoled Morong Jishui. Morong Jishui silently nodded. Waiting until Zhang Jingguang, Yi Chen, and the rest left, Yuan Jin sucked in a deep breath and suddenly slammed his palm on the potholed plaza. With a pung sound, a crack appeared on the plaza. Today, Yuan family could be said to have suffered a double loss. They had become the laughingstock of everyone present, and he, Yuan Jin, was even more of a laughingstock. In the main hall of Yellow Dragon Palace, Zhang Zhenguang sat on the main seat while Yao Yifeng, Yi Chun, and the rest sat below. As for the Morong family's people, they were arranged to stay in other buildings. Yao Yifeng, do you know your crime? Zhang Zhenguang coldly looked at Yao Yifeng below. Yao Yifeng still wanted to argue. Leader, Yi Chun is causing trouble everywhere. Sooner or later, he will bring trouble to our Dragon God Celestial Palace. Yao Yifeng is thinking for the sake of the Dragon God Celestial Palace. Leader, please investigate this. Investigate? Investigate you? Leader. Yao Yifeng's heart was filled with fear and anger. It was all because of Yi Chun. It was all Yi Chun's fault. Without him, he wouldn't have to suffer. If he didn't have a good time, Yi Chun wouldn't have a good time either. Your matter, come back with me. Wang Shi, after Yao Yifeng leaves, you will temporarily take charge of the Yellow Dragon Palace. Yan Kuei, you will assist him. I will send a new deputy after a while. Zhang Zhenguang didn't want to waste any more words with Yao Yifeng. What kind of person was Yi Chun? He was the future savior of the Dragon God Celestial Palace. He was very clear about the palace's current situation, and it was truly urgent. They were waiting for a genius to fully mature. And Yi Chun was undoubtedly the most promising one among them. Yao Yifeng actually dared to target Yi Chun. If Yi Chun became hostile toward the palace because of this, even 100 Yao Yifengs wouldn't be enough. Fortunately, Wang Shi and Yin Kuei had informed him in time. Otherwise it would truly be a big deal. What? Yao Yifeng didn't dare to believe his ears. He was going to be stripped of his deputy position? He was going to be replaced by a new deputy, just because he had treated Yi Chun unfairly? Leader, although Yao Yifeng is guilty, it is not to this extent. Yao Yifeng may not have contributed much to the palace, but he has worked hard. I, Yao Yifeng, am not satisfied with this punishment. Yao Yifeng was somewhat hysterical. Zhang Zhenguang coldly snorted. Not satisfied? Come back with me, and you'll be satisfied. Yellow Dragon sealing great art. Abruptly standing up, Zhang Zhenguang tossed out a yellow ball of light. The ball floated before his chest. He formed a seal with both hands, and with a rumble, the entire Yellow Dragon Palace branch trembled. Soon after, the shadow of a yellow dragon rushed out of the ball of light, appearing above Yao Yifeng and enveloping him within. Yao Yifeng wanted to escape from the yellow dragon shadow, but in the next moment, dozens of light dots flickered on its body. The moment they appeared, the yellow dragon shadow rapidly shrunk and entered Yao Yifeng's body. My Zhenyuan, and my physical strength. Yao Yifeng discovered that he was unable to use Zhenyuan. Even his meridians had been sealed, and his body was limp and powerless. It was as if there was a yellow dragon coiling inside his body, constantly devouring his Zhenyuan and blood qi. Without these two, he could only use his martial will. However, without the support of blood qi, his martial will would gradually weaken. It should be known that the soul and the body were connected. Chapter 558. You two take him away and keep a close eye on him. Zhang Zhenguang said to the two he brought. Yes, these two were also Taoist-level experts. Watching over Yao Yifeng, who had lost his Zhenyuan, was a piece of cake. They immediately stepped forward and pulled him away. Before leaving, Yao Yifeng shot a venomous glance at Yi Chun, as if he wanted to imprint the latter in his eyes. However, Yi Chun didn't feel anything and remained indifferent. Yi Chun, this is the first time we've met. You're much more outstanding than I imagined. Zhang Zhenguang revealed a faint smile, and said to Yi Chun. Yi Chun faintly smiled and casually asked, Hall Leader Zhang, I wonder how you'll punish him. A Sea of Soul Master should be very important to Dragon God Celestial Palace, right? Sea of Soul Masters were not cabbages. If a 6th grade sect had a Sea of Soul Master, they would become one of the peak 6th grade sections. For 5th grade sects, the number of Sea of Soul Masters was also the key to their comprehensive strength. Using the words of Yi Chun's world, Life and Death Kings were nuclear weapons, while Sea of Soul Masters were guided missiles. Nuclear weapons couldn't be used casually, so guided missiles became the main weapons, each having their own uses. Zhang Zhenguang said, "Since he did something wrong, he has to atone for it. His crime isn't worthy of death. Therefore, I'll report to the higher-ups and send him to Blood Battle Ocean. He'll render meritorious service for Dragon God Celestial Palace and atone for his crimes." Blood Battle Ocean? Yi Chen could feel the killing intent in this name. Zhang Zhenguang smiled. Blood Battle Ocean is rich in resources. All the major forces of Eastern Shallow Ocean have their troops stationed there. It's a cruel place. Faintly nodding, Yi Chen was clear that when it came to the fight for resources, it would be hard to not be cruel. "Yi Chen, what's your strength?" Zhang Zhenguang suddenly asked. Yi Chen pondered for a moment, then said, "Without using the Thunder Disaster Sword, I should be able to contend against ordinary Sea of Soul Masters. However, if I were to encounter an ordinary Sea of Soul Master with an extremely fast speed, I would be at a disadvantage." Defense had always been Yi Chen's weakness. Facing a Sea of Souls Realm Master level warrior with a fast speed, this weakness would be magnified. You are at the peak of early Sea of Soul Realm, and you haven't trained any defensive profound sense martial skills. So it is inevitable that your defense will be low. Actually, Zhang Zhenguang was already very surprised. There were 3 criteria to be a master-level Sea of Souls Realm warrior. First, a late Sea of Souls Realm cultivation. Second, a couple of low-rank profound sense martial arts, and 1 mid-rank profound sense martial art. Third, a rank 4 martial spirit. Of course, since some people were special in certain areas, even if one of the 3 did not meet the criteria, they could still be considered as a master-level warrior, as long as their overall power was enough. Yi Chen's cultivation and profound sense martial arts did not meet the criteria, but with only his powerful sword spirit, he was able to enter the master-level warrior realm. It was not hard to imagine how powerful he was. This kind of genius is hard to find in the whole world. No wonder Palace Master would list him as the number 1 seed of Dragon God Celestial Palace. Even Li Shaoling and the rest are ranked behind him. Li Shaoling was one of the candidates for Yellow Dragon Hall's deputy. His overall strength might not be as good as Yi Chen's, but he was strong in all aspects. His cultivation base was at the peak of Mid-Sea of Soul Realm, and he was already studying mid-rank profound sense martial skills. His martial spirit was at the 4th rank. Originally, Zhang Zhenguang was more optimistic about Li Shaoling. However, after seeing Yi Chen, he changed his opinion. In comparison, Yi Chen was younger, and his potential was greater. Especially his sword spirit. It was simply world-shaking. Once he matured in other aspects, his accomplishments would be astonishing. Yaoi Feng, this matter was an accident. I hope you don't take it to heart. Many people of my Dragon God Celestial Palace attach great importance to you. Zhang Zhenguang said with a stern expression. Yi Chen laughed involuntarily. Hall Master Zhang is overthinking things. When the forest is big, there are all kinds of birds. I won't take this matter to heart. It's good that you can think this way. Zhang Zhenguang let out a sigh of relief. He had long heard of Yi Chen's character, and after seeing it today, he felt that it was true. Yi Chen recalled the matter of Morong Qingqing's mother, and said with a frown, Hall Master Zhang, how long will the shadowless poison flare up? Zhang Zhenguang's face turned cold. The shadowless poison is one of the most mysterious poisons under the heavens. After being poisoned, it becomes traceless and formless, making it impossible to find the source. Precisely because of this, the shadowless poisons flare up a bit later. It won't be fatal immediately, but once it does, nobody can save it, including Life and Death Kings. The duration of the shadowless poison's flare-up is related to the grade of the poisoned person's spirit body. If a Sea of Soul Realm expert with a first-step spirit body is poisoned, it will be fatal in 3 days. If a second-step spirit body is poisoned, it will be 10 days, and a third-step spirit body is 1 month. As for martial artists under Sea of Soul Realm, it will be impossible to save them in 1 day. 1 month. Su Ruhui had a third-step spirit body, which meant that she only had a month to live. They had to find a way to save her within a month. Then, is there any way for life and death kings to save her? Zhang Zhenguang shook his head. I don't know either. The shadowless poison is extremely rare, and very few people are poisoned. Therefore, there is no precedent. However, I think that even if life and death kings can't save her, they should be able to delay the flare-up of the poison. Delay the flare-up? Is Senior Dragon King in the Dragon God Celestial Palace? The first person Yi Chen thought of was Dragon King. Without a choice, he could only consider it as owing Dragon King another favor. Zhang Zhenguang smiled bitterly. I won't hide it from you. Palace Master is currently in closed-door training. Nobody knows where he went. Moreover, you should have heard that Palace Master's age has already surpassed 1,000 years, breaking the limit of human kings. This is his second closed-door training, and we're all very worried. Hearing these words, Yi Chen creased his brows. Sure enough, breaking the limit of human life was not that easy. Even Dragon King was in closed-door training, so one could easily imagine how difficult it was. This should be a secret, right? Yi Chen didn't understand why Zhang Zhenguang would say this. Palace Master's closed-door training is not a secret. Many people are waiting for him to fail. Of course, before he fails, they won't dare to make a move. Yi Chen, actually, you don't have to go to Palace Master. In terms of saving people, Xianhou is much more skilled than Palace Master. I think if you go to Xianhou, Xianhou should agree. Yi Chen's talent was impossible for Xianhou not to notice. If Yi Chen went, he would be more useful than anyone else. Moreover, Xianhou and Dragon King had a good relationship, so it was impossible for Xianhou not to give face to Dragon King. Pausing for a bit, Zhang Zhenguang continued. Xuanhou's sect is in Sky Martial Region's Phoenix Cry Mountain. It's not too far from here, about 7 million li away. You can make it back in time. However, you have to be careful on the way. If there is nothing urgent, I can go with you. Every time Dragon King entered closed-door training, Dragon God Celestial Palace would be busier than usual. Zhang Zhenguang had rushed over despite his busy schedule, which showed how much importance he attached to Yi Chen. Of course, it was not impossible for him to go with Yi Chen. However, Dragon King had instructed him to let Yi Chen experience more pressure. He shouldn't care about such a trivial matter. No need to trouble Palace Master Zhang. I will be more cautious by myself. Yi Chen naturally wouldn't trouble Zhang Zhenguang. Taking out a map from his storage ring, Zhang Zhenguang handed it over to Yi Chen and said, This is the map of Sky Martial Region. Phoenix Cry Mountain is on it. Many thanks. Receiving the map, Yi Chen casually put it in his storage ring. In a spacious and comfortable courtyard of Yellow Dragon Palace's branch, Morong Jishui and his family were together. Jishui Qingqing, cheer up. I'm not going to die right now. There's still time. Su Ruhui saw Morong Jishui and Morong Qingqing's gloomy expressions and said helplessly. Morong Jishui said, No matter what, I'll save you, even if I have to risk my life. After 30 years of affection, Morong Jishui had already considered Su Ruhui as a part of him, inseparable. Mother, Morong Qingqing's eyes were bright red. If not for her, her mother wouldn't have been poisoned. She hated Yuan clan, but at the same time, she felt powerless. Pada, pada, footsteps sounded. Yi Chen walked in from outside. Yi Chen. The three looked over. Yi Chen smiled. Uncle Morong, there might be a way to cure Auntie's poison. There is. Morong Jishui and Morong Qingqing's eyes brightened. Although they knew that there was no poison in this world that could not be cured, there was a limit to their power. Right now, Yi Chen had undoubtedly brought them a ray of hope, even if it might turn out to be a disappointment in the end. What is it? Morong Jishui asked hopefully. Yi Chen said, Tomorrow morning, I will leave for Sky Martial Region's Phoenix Cry Mountain and ask Xianhou to save Auntie. I think with Xuanhou's power, there would be a great chance to cure Auntie. Even if it doesn't work, it would at least delay the outbreak of the poison, giving me time to find the ingredients to make the antidote. Ask Xianhou to save Ruhui. Morong Jishui was shocked. Xianhou had taken good care of the Demi family, but it was not limited to the Morong family. Even the abstruse bead that she gave to his daughter Qingqing was sent over by someone else. She did not come here personally. It could be seen that she only regarded her daughter Qingqing as a genius that could be cultivated, unlike the Dragon King who valued Yi Chen. After all, how many Yi Chens were there in this world? Of course, if there was no other way, they could only ask Qingqing to look for Xianhou. Now that Yi Chen said that he was going to look for Xianhou, it undoubtedly increased the hope. Yi Chen's current achievements were already so shocking. In a few years, there would be no one who would not pay attention to him. It was very likely that he would become the future Sword King, or even the Sword Emperor. That's right, the Dragon King is currently in closed-door training. Palace head Zhang asked me to look for Xianhou. Yi Chen nodded. Then I'll leave it to you. Oh right, I'll go with you. Morong Jishui recalled that Yi Chen was also a target of public criticism, and was somewhat worried. Who knew? Someone might launch a sneak attack on him. Yi Chen shook his head and said, Uncle, you stay here and accompany Auntie. I alone am enough. In fact, he was worried that he would not be able to save Su Ruhui. And if he could not save her, this would be the last time Su Ruhui and Morong Jishui could be together. Yi Chen, be careful. Morong Qingqing was currently still at the peak of late astral reaching realm. If she went with Yi Chen, she would only be a burden. She inwardly decided that she had to enter the Sea of Soul realm as soon as possible. Otherwise, the distance between her and Yi Chen would only grow further and further, and she would not be able to protect the family. I will. Yi Chen gave Morong Qingqing a reassuring glance. Chapter 559. On the second morning, Yi Chen departed. The journey to the Sky Martial Region's Phoenix Cry Mountain was more than 7 million li. Even if he rode the flying puppet and flew day and night, it would still take him dozens of days. If it were in the past, dozens of days would not be a big deal for him. But now, every extra day he spent would mean more danger for Su Ruhui. High up in the sky, the rock-shaped flying puppet spread its wings and shot out. Each breath could cover 6 to 7 li, leaving a blade-like air current behind it. Sitting cross-legged on the back of the puppet, Yi Chen was not in the mood to look at the sea of clouds on both sides. He focused on training. During the battle with Yuan Lai, the latter had brought him a lot of pressure. Under this pressure, his spirit, qi, and soul had all made a breakthrough, becoming as sharp as a sword and as sharp as gold. He had comprehended the essence of the gold profound, which allowed him to bring his gold resonant radiance sword art from 90% completion to completion. In terms of power, the gold resonant radiance sword art at completion was not below the void-shattering finger art. If it were used with the Thunder Disaster Sword, its power would be even greater than the void-shattering finger art. It would be his #1 ace attack. However, his biggest ace had been exposed, and his power had become transparent. For Yi Chen, it would be very dangerous. Perhaps, someone had already investigated his power and sent someone to ambush him. Therefore, although the completion of the gold resonant radiance sword art was a good thing, he could not be complacent, because complacency was a sign of failure. If he was lucky, he might still have a chance to recover, but if he was unlucky, he would fall and become a shooting star among the countless geniuses of the continent. Although it would be bright and dazzling, it would only last for a second. The void-shattering finger art cannot be improved in a short period of time. From the space mentality to the space profound, the difficulty is way beyond my imagination. I'm afraid it will not be as easy as cultivating the gold resonant radiance sword art to completion. However, if I can enter the deep void and observe the space power from a close distance, it will be a whole different story. Amaranthan nature is the advanced profound sword movement of the Green Lotus sword arts, and its level of subtlety is quite impressive. Once the sword is thrust out, it can accelerate through the air, making the actual sword speed faster than the naked eye can see, giving the opponent no time to react. However, the Amaranthan nature is more exquisite, but its power is still not enough. It is a bit lacking as an ace attack. In terms of sword movements, besides the gold resonant radiance sword art, only the Sky Thunder Cut and the Reverse Sky Thunder Cut can be used as ace attacks. These two attacks, one positive and the other negative stacked together, would increase their power exponentially. Under the condition of 70% completion, The two attacks would be as powerful as the 90% gold resonant radiance sword art. If it could reach 80% completion, it would probably surpass the completed gold resonant radiance sword art and become the #1 ace attack. After quickly going through all the sword moves he had learned in his mind, Yi Chen made a decision. Next, he would use all his strength to break through Sky Thunder Cut and reverse Sky Thunder Cut. Of course, it didn't mean that he would give up on the other sword moves, but he would focus on these two moves. The Sky Thunder Cut is my own creation, and it would be quite troublesome to learn. There is no clear path, so I would have to figure it out by myself. But these two attacks have enough potential, so it would be worth it to sacrifice some time. Let's see if I can learn something in these 10 days. Unknowingly, the flying puppet had carried Yi Chen far away from the ancient Wind City. Hehe, it is time to make my move. 100 miles behind the flying puppet, a black shadow suddenly increased its speed. From 10 times the speed of sound, it reached 20 times the speed of sound. The instantaneous acceleration had caused the air and the surroundings to be unable to handle the pressure and explode. A circle of perfect space pattern spread out. 80 miles. 50 miles. 10 miles. Brat, stop right there. After chasing for 10 miles, the black shadow that was wrapped in light reached out one of his hands. That hand clenched into a fist and punched out toward where Yi Chen was standing. Back! Yi Chen did not even look back as his body jumped into the air. The flying puppet below him turned into a beam of shadow and disappeared from where it was. The next second, the space started to shake, and a blurry fist mark was left in the surreal space, looking extremely aggressive. Turning around in the air, Yi Chen looked at the approaching black shadow and said sarcastically, "You have waited until now to make your move. It must have been hard on you." You knew. The newcomer was wearing a black mask, which had the effect of blocking out soul power. Right then he sounded a bit surprised. You guessed it right. A silver light appeared in Yi Chen's pupils. His invisible soul power went through the black mask and saw the real face of the newcomer. Sure enough, it is a Sea of Soul Master Warrior who went to the Yuan family to congratulate them. He seems to be called Tyrant Fist Master. He is a loner without any family or sect, and has only recently arrived in the Gulan region. He has a good relationship with the head elder of the Yuan family, Yuan Jin. This person specializes in fist arts, which are very aggressive. That day, there were 7 Sea of Soul Master Warriors who went to the Yuan family. 1 from the Gulan sect, 3 from the other big sects, 1 from Yao Yifeng, 1 from Morongjishui, and 1 from this Tyrant Fist Master. Apart from Yao Yifeng and Morongjishui, Yi Chen also had some information on the other 5. You guessed right, but there is no reward. Tyrant Fist Master's exposed eyes released a cold killing intent. Yi Chen's strength was similar to Yuan Lai's, and his half-step extreme rank sword was only slightly higher. On the other hand, his strength was the same as Yuan Jin's. His Duga Tyrant Fist art was even more aggressive, which specialized in breaking through protective Zhen Yuan. Therefore, in his eyes, Yi Chen was already a dead man. Once he killed him, his wealth and half-step extreme rank sword would all be his. It doesn't matter if I don't get a reward, but you must get one. Otherwise, wouldn't you have wasted your trip? Yi Chen said indifferently. Courting death. Tyrant Fist Master roared as his body swooped down, throwing out a punch. It was an extremely simple punch without any fancy moves. However, in the hands of Tyrant Fist Master, it was no longer ordinary. The aggressive fist intent pierced through the clouds without any hindrance. Yi Chen's expression turned serious. The air around him turned viscous under the fist intent, as if the void had been frozen. Void-shattering finger. Yi Chen pointed out his finger. Wherever his blue finger went, the sticky air had been dispelled, as if the snow in the spring had been melted by the hot sun. Pung! The blue finger and the aggressive fist shadow clashed together, causing the space to ripple and blur. Even soul power was greatly affected. Yellow dragon sealing great art. Throwing out a finger attack, Yi Chen suddenly took out a yellow light ball, which floated in front of his chest. Yi Chen formed a spell with both of his hands. As he did so, a dark yellow light started to move within the yellow light ball, looking like a furious dragon. Buzz! The yellow light ball shook once, and a yellow dragon shadow broke out of it. It ignored the chaotic chi flow between the two and flew above Tyrant Fistmaster's head. The dragon shadow's tail hung down while its head was raised up high, baring its fangs and claws like a totem. Ah! Yellow dragon sealing great art. Tyrant Fistmaster was already within 100 meters of Yi Chen. Seeing the yellow dragon shadow, he looked like he had seen a ghost, his face full of fear. Seal! Yi Chen did not give his opponent any chance. He finished forming the spell, and the yellow dragon shadow shone with dozens of light dots. As the light dots lit up, the yellow dragon shadow suddenly shrunk down, ignoring the protective Zhenyuan layer, and entering his body. The whole process could only be described as lightning fast. No, my Zhenyuan. Tyrant Fistmaster did not expect that Yi Chen would learn the yellow dragon sealing great art in one night, and even get the Dragon Ball. If he had known that Yi Chen had learned the yellow dragon sealing great art, he would not have dared to attack Yi Chen. Even if he wanted to, he would have to keep his distance, and not give his opponent a chance to lock onto him. The yellow dragon sealing great art was a secret of the Dragon God's celestial palace, and it was also one of the reasons why the palace was able to dominate the world. Yi Chen, give me a chance. I will leave immediately, and not trouble you anymore. My Tyrant Fistmaster will never go back on his words. In his extreme panic, Tyrant Fistmaster even revealed his identity. But it did not matter anymore at this point. Nothing was more important than his life. Yi Chen sneered. If I am captured by you, will you let me go? As long as you release the yellow dragon sealing great art, I am willing to work like a horse for you. Having a master level C of Soul's realm, as your slave, is something that many geniuses do not have. Tyrant Fistmaster sounded very sincere, but his eyes were filled with killing intent. What was supposed to be in the bag had now become his slave. He could not accept it. All right, I will release you right now. Stepping on the air, Yi Chen walked over step by step. No. Tyrant Fistmaster could sense the killing intent coming from Yi Chen's body. Pushing out the Zhenyuan that was not completely sealed, he tried to escape. Shoo! Yi Chen caught up with him, his gold sword piercing through his head. I hate this. Before he died, Tyrant Fistmaster's face was full of regret. Taking away his storage ring, Yi Chen threw out a punch, and the dead body of the Tyrant Fistmaster was instantly destroyed, leaving nothing behind. Yellow dragon sealing great art. So horrifying. Yi Chen stared at the dim yellow light ball in his hand, feeling a bit shocked. It was Zhang Zhenguang, who had taught him the yellow dragon sealing great art. Of course, it was the will of the Dragon King. As the secret art of the Dragon God's celestial palace, it was not that hard to learn, since it did not have much of a secret. All he had to do was use his soul power, and Zhenyuan to activate the sealing power in the Dragon Ball. With a bit of guidance, he would be able to complete the seal. However, learning the yellow dragon sealing great art did not mean that he would be able to seal others. Without the Dragon Ball, it would be impossible, and the Dragon Ball was given to him by the Dragon King himself. According to Zhang Zhenguang, there were not more than 10 people in the palace who had Dragon Balls. The fact that he was able to get one meant that the Dragon King trusted him, since not every one of the 5 palace leaders had one. As for the power of the Dragon Ball, it was not limitless. In fact, without replenishment, one ball could only perform the yellow dragon sealing great art once. For example, Zhang Zhenguang had performed the yellow dragon sealing great art on Yao Yifeng, and that ball had been destroyed temporarily. As for how to replenish it, Yi Chen did not know. There were a few key points to perform the yellow dragon sealing great art. First, the opponent had to be within 100 meters. Second, the soul power had to be more powerful than the opponent, since the sealing power of the Dragon Ball depended on the soul power of the user. The more powerful the user's soul power, the more powerful the sealing power would be. Third, when performing the yellow dragon sealing great art, it could not be interrupted. Once it was interrupted, the user would be attacked by the sealing power, which would be very serious. Therefore, it could only be used for one-on-one. Chapter 560. Shoo! The flying puppet shot out of the storage ring, as Yi Chen jumped onto it and sat with his legs crossed. He then pushed it to fly at a high speed, pushing its speed to its limit. This Tyrant Fist Master is a bit richer than Morong Wang. He has 400,000 top-rank spirit stones and 3 top-rank weapons. But he does not have any extreme-rank spirit stones. Inserting his soul power into the storage ring, Yi Chen smiled lightly, adding the top-rank spirit stones he had on him. He had 800,000 in total. It was not a small amount, and if he were alone, he would be one of the top warriors among Master Level C of Soul's Realm warriors. There was only one region between the Gulan region and the Sky Martial region. 5 days later, Yi Chen rode his flying puppet and arrived at the Sky Martial region. 10 days later, Yi Chen saw the Phoenix Cry Mountain. The Phoenix Cry Mountain range was one of the top 3 mountain ranges in the Sky Martial region, stretching for hundreds of thousands of miles. After flying for half a day, Yi Chen finally arrived at the core area of the mountain range. Once there, Yi Chen had no choice but to come down. In his sight, there were countless mountains that were tens of thousands of meters tall, reaching into the sky like pillars. Yi Chen estimated with his eyes that the shortest one was at least 9,000 meters tall, while the tallest one even reached above the sea of clouds, almost reaching the sky. On top of each of these mountains, there were massive palaces of different sizes, hidden deep within the winding clouds, vaguely visible. In Yi Chen's eyes, each mountain was like a beehive, with black dots flying in and out like busy bees. It is indeed the famous Phoenix Cry Mountain. Even a small mountain here is way more majestic than the Sky Cloud Martial School's Windy Mountain. Yi Chen was a bit emotional. They were both martial institutions, but the difference was way too huge. Who is coming to my mysterious martial school? From the palace closest to Yi Chen, a red figure flew out. It was as fast as lightning, appearing not far away from Yi Chen within a second. This was a middle-aged man wearing a scarlet-red robe with a quaint appearance. From his speed, he was at least an expert of the true human rank. The mountain he was on was only in the middle to lower reaches of the mountain peaks, so it was obvious that he was only in the middle to upper levels. Yi Chen held his fists together and said, "I am Yi Chen from the South Ridra region. I would like to see the leader of the mysterious martial school Xianhou." The martial school that Xianhou had created was called the Mysterious Martial School, which had more females than males. It was the place that all the female disciples wanted to go. Yi Chen from the Sky Cloud Martial School from the South Ridra region? The middle-aged man in red had heard of Yi Chen before. Of course, it was not because Yi Chen's fame had spread all the way to the Sky Martial region. In fact, in the Sky Martial region, Yi Chen did not have any fame at all. The only reason he knew about Yi Chen was because the leader had mentioned Yi Chen in a meeting a couple of years ago. Being mentioned by the leader, how could all the middle and high-level members of the mysterious martial school not pay attention to him? Indeed, it is me. I am the leader of the Fire Cloud Mountain, Zhang Dihuo. You wait in the palace and have a cup of tea. I will go inform the leader. The Fire Cloud Mountain was one of the 36 peaks of the mysterious martial school, and it was also the first line of defense. After knowing about Yi Chen's identity, Zhang Dihuo did not dare to be slow, so he suggested. Yi Chen nodded and followed him towards the Fire Cloud Palace on top of the mountain. After waiting in the palace for a while, Zhang Dihuo returned. Yi Chen, the leader wants to see you. The mysterious martial school had 48 important peaks in total. It was called the top 3 peaks, the middle 9 peaks, and the bottom 36 peaks. With Zhang Dihuo leading the way, Yi Chen did not face any obstacles along the way. Soon, he arrived at the main peak of the mysterious martial school. Looking over, the entire mysterious martial school was covered in a layer of crystal-colored mist. Yi Chen knew that it was the great protective spell of the mysterious martial school. It had an amazing defense, and even a life-and-death realm warrior would not be able to break in within a short period of time. The crystal-colored mist in front of him separated, revealing a massive crystal door. Zhang Dihuo said, "I will not go in." If there was nothing important, the leader would not be allowed to enter the mysterious martial school. It was the rule of the mysterious martial school. Yi Chen held his fists at Zhang Dihuo before flashing his body and flying in. Passing through the crystal-colored mist, Yichen finally realized that the real mysterious martial school was a whole different world. Looking from the inside, it seemed to be much bigger than the outside, as if he had entered another world. Besides that, the spirit qi in this place was very rich, and even the air was a bit moist. With a casual breath, one could feel the spirit qi entering one's body and slowly turning into Zhen Yuan. What a great place! Yichen praised as he looked at the beautiful female disciple who had just arrived. You are Yichen. This girl was the same as Yichen, at peak level early Sea of Soul's realm. She was about 23 or 24 years old. Of course, once one reached the Sea of Soul's realm, one would not be able to tell their age from their appearance. For example, Yichen was almost 25 years old, but he looked like he was in his early 20s. Being in someone else's territory, Yichen knew that he had to be polite, so he smiled and said, "Indeed. How should I address you, sister disciple? I am the leader's third disciple, Miao Yin. Come with me." The mysterious queen's residence was not on the mysterious peak. Instead, it was in the sky above the mysterious peak. It was a floating mountain, just like the floating mountain. Of course, although this floating mountain of the mysterious sect was not as big as the floating mountain, the materials used were obviously not of the same level. It looked like gold or jade, and contained a horrifying power. It was not something to be underestimated. On top of the floating mountain, there was a pond and a few wooden houses that formed a small manor. Beside the pond, a lady in her 20s was feeding the fish. Her long hair was like a waterfall, reaching all the way to her feet. Her eyes were calm and peaceful. "Miao Yin, you can leave for now." "Yes, teacher." The beautiful female disciple called Miao Yin left with respect. Getting onto the floating mountain, Yichen saw Xianhou. Right then, Xianhou was different from the mental power image he had seen in the parallel space battlefield. The mental power image of Xianhou was so beautiful and unforgettable. Right now, Xianhou seemed a lot more reserved and natural. "Senior Xianhou, sorry to disturb you." Xianhou smiled lightly. "My real name is Xianhou Qingxian. You can just call me Senior Yan." "Senior Yan, is there something you need my help with?" The two were separated by a small pond as Xianhou spoke while feeding the fish. Yichen nodded. "It is about Morong Qingsheng." "What happened to her?" Xianhou lifted up her head. She had paid quite a bit of attention to Morong Qingsheng, since she was a good seed. "Morong is fine. However, Morong's mother, Su Ruhui, has been poisoned by the Yuan family's shadowless poison. The only antidote she had was also destroyed by Yuan Jin. Therefore, I would like to ask the mysterious queen for help." Yichen told Xianhou his intention. "Yuan family? Shadowless poison? Nonsense." Xianhou was a bit angry. She had tried her best to help the demi-demon family, hoping that the human race would treat them fairly. But there were some demi-demon families that did not want to be united, and were destroying themselves instead. She had heard about the Yuan family's aggressive style, but she had never thought that they would dare to poison their own people. Not to mention, it was one of the most powerful poisons in the world. "Senior, do you have any way to save her?" Yichen was quite confident in Xianhou. Besides being powerful, she was also well-versed in many other things, especially in saving people's lives. "There are less than 5 different kinds of poisons in the world, and I can save more than 5 different kinds. Unfortunately, the shadowless poison is one of the poisons that I cannot cure. Even Senior Yin cannot cure her." Yichen's heart sank. Although there was an antidote for the shadowless poison, finding the ingredients for it was extremely hard. Some of the ingredients were things that he had never even heard of before. Xianhou said, "Don't worry. Although I cannot cure her completely, I can still extend her life for a couple of years." Hearing her, Yichen let out a breath. With a couple of years as a buffer, there would be a lot more hope. "The shadowless poison is not easy to deal with. You and I will go check it out first." Xianhou waved her palm in the air, and a surreal door appeared on top of the pond. Shoo! Xianhou stepped into it, and Yichen followed without hesitation. Deep in the surreal space, the surreal door kept flashing. Each time it flashed, it would be extremely far away. After 15 minutes, the surreal door appeared in the branch of the Yellow Dragon Palace. Walking out of the door, Yi Chen was shocked. Although he knew that life and death realm warriors were powerful and unimaginable, the ancient Wind City was 7 million miles away from the Fengming Mountain. It took him dozens of days to get there, but it only took him 15 minutes to get back. This kind of power was beyond his imagination. Seeing Xianhou and Yi Chen suddenly appear in the room, Morong Qingqing and Morong Jishui were shocked. Waving her hand, Xianhou looked at Su Ruhui, whose face was a bit pale. Luckily we got here early. The poison chi has already started to corrode her body. Senior, please save my wife. Morong Jishui had been very worried for the past couple of days. At first, Su Ruhui was no different from a normal person. But after 10 days, the problem was getting worse and worse. No one knew where the poison came from, but it had started to corrode her body. Even her Zhen Yuan could not stop it. You guys get out, Xianhou said. Uncle Morong, let's go out first. Yi Chen dragged the two out. The treatment did not take long. After 15 minutes, the door was opened. Morong Jishui and Morong Qingqing went in to check. Seeing that Su Ruhui was perfectly fine, they thought that she was completely cured, so they thanked her profusely. Xianhou had a bitter smile on her face. Don't be too happy yet. The poison is still there. I just let her live for 3 more years. After 3 years, not only would my mysterious sealing art not be able to seal the shadowless poison, it would even become its accomplice, which would speed up her death. No one would be able to save her. Therefore, within 3 years, you guys have to gather all the ingredients for the antidote. Yi Chen said, Uncle Morong, you guys do not need to worry too much. 3 years is a long time, and it is more than enough for us to find the antidote. Plus, I already have a couple of ingredients for the antidote, so the rest should be fine. Flipping his left hand, Yi Chen took out a couple of spirit plants, which he got from the herb garden on the Treasure River Island. As for the antidote for the shadowless poison, everyone in the demi-demon family knew about it. Of course, it was impossible for Xianhou not to know about it. Xianhou was not surprised that Yi Chen had these spirit plants. Every genius had their own luck, and without a doubt, Yi Chen's luck would not be any worse than other geniuses. Yi Chen, from now on, you can travel around the Sky Martial region. Maybe you can find the ingredients for the antidote. Chapter 561. The Sky Martial region was the top region of the True Spirit continent. Its area was only slightly smaller than the top 4 regions, but it was way bigger than any of the other regions. The Sky Martial region was a great place, and some of the rare spirit plants and medicines could be found in the outside world. It was said that the undead tree was in the Sky Martial region, but unfortunately, no one knew where it was, not even Su King or Xianhou. After all, there were still too many unknown places. Hearing Xianhou say that she wanted him to go to the Sky Martial region, Yi Chen nodded. The Sky Martial region was a sacred place for all the martial geniuses, so there was no reason for him not to go. With his power right now, he might be able to make a name for himself. The situation in the Sky Martial region is complicated. After you get there, come to the Phoenix Cry Mountain first. Xianhou could tell that Yi Chen did not want to go right now, so she waved her right hand and walked into the surreal door made of space power. Shoo! She disappeared without a trace. Waiting until Xianhou left, Morong Jishui sighed. The shadowless poison is a special poison created by my demi-demon family. I cannot believe that I would have to use it on my wife one day. Yi Chen comforted him. Uncle, if you trust me, I will take care of the antidote. 3 years is long enough. I'll leave it to you then. There were a lot of materials to make the antidote, so Morong Jishui could only hope that Yi Chen would be lucky all the time. Now that it is done, let's go back to the South Ridra region. Yi Chen had already thought about going back to the Sky Martial region, so he was ready to say goodbye. Of course. Morong Jishui nodded. The leader of the Yellow Dragon Palace, Zhang Zhenguang, had already left. Yi Chen and the group said goodbye to Wang Shi and Yin Kuei, then got on the red-eyed bird and started their journey back to the South Ridra region. Yi Chen had to admit that the red-eyed vicious bird was indeed a bit slow. If the distance was only a few million miles, it would still be manageable. But if it was more than that, it would take way too long. Without a choice, Yichen took out the two flying puppets. The flying puppets seemed to be only twice as fast as the red-eyed vicious bird, but it would save them twice as much time. Without it, the flying puppets did not need to rest at all. How could they not be fast after flying day and night? Around 20 days later, the group returned to the Morong clan. When I reach the Sea of Souls realm, I will go to the Sky Martial region to find you. Morong Qingqing knew that the gap between her and Yi Chun was just too huge. Only by reaching the Seas of Souls realm would she be able to close the gap. Otherwise, she would only be a burden if she went. But her advantage was not that small either. Once she trained a part of the demon power essence, she would be able to reach peak level early Seas of Souls realm at least. Mid Seas of Souls realm might even be possible, since the demon power essence was the essence of the demon power inside the demon's body. Every bit of it contained a huge amount of demon power, which would benefit her greatly. There's no rush. It's best to consolidate your cultivation first. How could Yi Chen not know about Morong Qingqing's advantage? Once she reached the Sea of Souls realm, she would be at least at the spirit warrior level, which would be a huge advantage. But the Sky Martial region was not like any other place. It was the holy land of martial geniuses, gathering all the top martial geniuses of the whole continent. Yes, Morong Qingqing pursed her lips. Although her relationship with Yi Chun had not reached the point of intimacy, it was not far from it. They just needed to spend more time together. I will leave this flying puppet to you. I will need it in the future. Flipping his wrist, the leopard-shaped flying puppet appeared, floating in the air between the two. Yi Chun smiled as he looked at her, not hiding his emotions at all. A slight blush appeared on her face, as Morong Qingqing's bright eyes contained a hint of affection. On the way back to the Windy Nation, Yi Chun took out the Dragon Ball. So, the Dragon Ball's power can be replenished automatically. I wonder when it will be fully replenished. It had been more than a month since he had performed the Yellow Dragon Sealing Great Art for the first time. During this time, the Dragon Ball had slowly recovered its color, and was no longer dim. The Yellow Dragon Sealing Great Art is easy to learn, but it is extremely hard to master. Although it seemed easy to deal with the Tyrant Fist Master, it is actually because my soul power is powerful enough. Zhang Jingguang's soul power was way weaker than Yi Chen's, but he was still able to make Yao Yifeng unable to fight back at all. On the other hand, Yi Chen's soul power was 4 to 5 times that of Zhang Jingguang's. When he sealed the Tyrant Fist Master, he still managed to leave a bit of Zhen Yuan behind. This was the gap between them, and it was not just a small one. Shoo! The flying puppet disappeared into the horizon. The endless mountain range in front of him was getting bigger and bigger. Sitting on the flying puppet, Yi Chen could see the Fire Cloud Mountain, one of the 36 mountains under the mysterious martial school. This time, I am afraid I will be staying in the Sky Martial region for a long time. Back in the South Ridra region, Yi Chen stayed at his family for a couple of days, before saying goodbye to his parents again, and leaving for the Phoenix Cry Mountain in the Sky Martial region. Last time, he had come in a hurry, so Yi Chen did not have the time to observe the mountain properly. This time, he realized that there was a light desolate qi mixed in the mountain range, which meant that the mountain range had a very long history, dating back to the ancient era. Chirp! A bright bird chirp was heard. Yi Chen's expression changed slightly as he felt his blood flow increase. This bird. Yi Chen looked over, and could see a huge blue bird flying in the sky on the side of the Fire Cloud Mountain. The huge bird's wings were 7 to 8 meters long, and there was a crown-like feather on its head. There were also 3 distinctive tricolored feathers behind its tail, which made it look like the king of the birds. The descendant of the phoenix. Blue phoenix. Yi Chen gasped. He did not expect to see a blue phoenix in the Phoenix Cry Mountain range. It was not a normal beast. Judging on potential, it was even more powerful than Sun Xiaojin from the water ape race. It was a top-ranked beast, which was equal to the 9-headed snake. In other words, once it matured, it would be at least a top-ranked 10 beast, and it would have a huge chance of becoming a beast king. Plus, the higher the potential of the beast, the more powerful it would be. With the blue phoenix's potential, It would be able to beat any beast at the same rank, including Sun Shaojin. It was a beast that was famous even in the ancient era. Shoo! The blue phoenix flapped its wings and jumped toward Yi Chen, its feather crown burning with blue flame. Yi Chen's expression changed. This blue phoenix was at rank 9, and he did not know why it was flying toward him. You are Yi Chen? When it was dozens of meters away, the blue phoenix suddenly stopped and spoke in human language. It was a female voice. Indeed, Yi Chen was a bit confused. It was not like he had not seen beasts that could speak human language before. The water ape race was one of them, but they were similar to humans, so it was not strange for them to speak. I am the head disciple of the leader, Yen Fengfeng. Nice to meet you. The blue phoenix said. So it's senior sister Yen. Yi Chen cupped his fists together. Follow me. Master is waiting for you. With a wave of her tail, Yen Fengfeng turned around and flapped her wings, moving at an extreme speed. Such a fast speed. Yi Chen increased his speed to 90% before he could barely catch up with her. Seeing how relaxed she looked, he guessed that she had only used half of her speed. Yen Fengfeng wanted to test Yi Chen's speed. Her blue wings flapped slightly, and her speed increased again. It was so fast that it did not even look real. Sword light flying spell. Yi Chen bit on his teeth as a sharp sword light shot out of his body. The sword light flashed once before carrying his body and shooting out, chasing after Yen Fengfeng. Not bad. You can barely catch up with me by half. Yen Fengfeng said shockingly. What? Yi Chen was shocked. Right then, he had even performed his sword light flying spell, which was more than 20 times the speed of sound. But it was only half of her speed. Yen Fengfeng chuckled. Don't be surprised. Among the young generation of the Sky Martial region, I might not be the most powerful. But speaking of speed, if I say I am number 2, no one would dare to say they are number 1. You are only at peak level early Sea of Souls realm, but you already have master level speed. It is already very impressive. It seems like I have to perfect my sword light flying spell. Even though she had said it like that, Yi Chen could not help but feel emotional. Being twice as fast as him. What kind of concept was that? It would be like being born unbeatable. Below the life and death realm, no one would be able to catch up with Yen Fengfeng. As for the sword light flying spell, it seemed a bit outdated in his eyes. At astral reaching realm, the speed of the sword light flying spell was almost as fast as the attacking speed. But at the Sea of Souls realm, it was still far away from the attacking speed, since he was only at the astral reaching realm when he created it. Soon, Yi Chen and Yen Fengfeng arrived at the mysterious peak. You are here. Xuanho's voice was heard. At the same time, a guiding power covered him and Yen Fengfeng, bringing them directly to the floating mountain above the mysterious peak. Senior Yen. Master. Xuanho nodded and looked at Yi Chen. Although you are not my disciple, the old Dragon King, and I have always treated you as one. Don't be too reserved. Thank you, Senior Yen. Fengfeng, it is Yi Chen's first time in the Sky Martial region, so he is not clear about some of the rules. You take him to the Sky Martial Pavilion and leave your name there. Yes. Yen Fengfeng nodded, the blue flame on her feather crown spinning around. Sky Martial Pavilion? Yi Chen was indeed not clear about the rules of the Sky Martial region, since the Battle King's life information was way too much. Therefore, he only had a part of the Battle King's memory. Also this time, there are a couple of disciples from our mysterious martial school, who are going to the Sky Martial Pavilion, to leave their names there. I will leave them all to you. Xuanho thought very highly of Yen Fengfeng. Speaking of which, Yen Fengfeng could be counted as her half-daughter. When she first came to the Phoenix Cry Mountain, she did not set up her martial school here. It was not until she found a blue phoenix egg deep under the mountain that she used a secret technique to hatch it, that she had Yen Fengfeng. Master, my shape-shifting pellets are almost used up. Yen Fengfeng looked at Xuanho with puppy eyes. Xuanho chuckled as she took out a jade bottle and threw it to her. Use it sparingly. These pellets are not easy to make. Thank you, Master. Yen Fengfeng waved her tail as she opened her mouth to catch the jade bottle. Opening the bottle, a round pellet fell into her mouth and she swallowed it. Who? A blue light that was like the sun shone brightly. When the green light dissipated, the figure of the Qing Feng was nowhere to be seen. There was only a young woman dressed in green clothes. She had a lithe figure and exquisite facial features. Between her eyebrows was a threatening noble temperament. In the center of her forehead was a feather crown pattern, with a green flame burning on it. Brother Yi, nice to meet you. Yan Fengfeng, who had turned into her human form, revealed a smile. Sister Yan, nice to meet you. Yi Chen chuckled. In his human form, it was indeed the first time the two had met each other. Alright, you guys can go now. We can leave tomorrow. Xianhou said. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.